Mark Torres speaking. We are here live in front of a live studio audience.
Yay!
At the East Meadow Public Library for our 73rd live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. And I am here with none other than senior correspondent Charlie Saladino.
Hello, fun seekers.
Man Jenny Feldy.
Hey!
And our special guest we're going to be talking to, with, and about, which is awesome because she's right here, is author and poet Naudy Suarez.
Hello, hello.
And as I just mentioned, we're going to be talking to Naudy in just a few minutes, but before we do any of that, we're going to take it away with the news. The news is brought to you in part by fine folks of the sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. So all the fine folks of the Big Apple Con, which we are the official radio show of, celebrating over 25, 6, 7, 8 years of compactness and pop culture stuff. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. Their next convention is scheduled for December the 16th. It is the Big Apple Christmas Con. Tickets are on sale right now. Also want to give out shout outs to our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Kyle Horn, Millie Portez, Newsday famous Reza Media, Unjikun, Shadow Rabbit Art, Yasmin Array, Rosa, and the Hurricane. Want to have your own little shout out? Go to our website, www.thecamefreeno.com. You can get the little button on there, takes you right to our Patreon page. Also want to give a special designated shout out to Jordan Burrell. That's anybody who got the option for my comic book, which is designated, which is also on the It Came From Radio site, about two warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. The war finds its way to the planet Earth, and as a result, humans gain abilities. So now let's see, we're going to take away with the news. Sad news. No, we have no sad news for this week. I forgot. No sad news for this week, so we're just going to go to the regular news. From the One Strike and You're Out Follow department. As of today, which is October the 11th, we are on day 90 of the actors' strike, and that's still going on. As of yet, there have been no solid negotiations. Now, we just got over the writer's strike, which went for, I believe, 187 days, 140-something days. So now we're still going on with the actors' strike. They did say that once the writer's strike was over, the actors' strike was going to be as easily resolved. And we're still with the actors' strike. So, Man Jenny Feldy, as an actress, producer, and everything else, do you think we're going to be continuing with the actors' strike, or do you think it's going to be over more quickly now that the writer's strike is
Oh
done?
my gosh, Mark, you asked the tough card-hitting questions. I actually don't know. I actually really don't have an answer for this. I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, fair enough. Charlie,
It's going to be over soon, Mark.
you believe it's going to be over soon?
I believe it's going to be over soon.
And why is that?
Well, being in the business and seeing all the pieces of the puzzle sort of fitting and not fitting,
Mm-hmm.
I believe once the writer's strike was put into that piece, it's not going to take long for the actors to fall into that.
Naudy, what do you think?
I think I agree with Charlie. We can only be at this standstill for so long. I think writers and actors and everyone involved in the process is interested more so in creating. So that's going to be the deciding factor, and we'll move forward from this sooner rather than later.
All right, fair enough. So moving on, from the That's a Lot of Nuts department. The new Exorcist film has taken the #1 spot in the domestic box office, pulling in $27.2 million in ticket sales in its first week of release, beating out the new Paw Patrol movie, which came out at #2 with $11.7 million in its second week of release. For those of you keeping track, Barbie is still the highest grossing film of this year with $634.3 million, followed by Super Mario Bros. With $574.9 million. Of note, Barbie still sits at the 11th highest grossing movie of all time, needing another $19 million to make it to the top 10. Now, we've been tracking this for a while, and it's making $1 million, about $1 million a week. I think that's pretty much, it's not going to get to the 10th position or higher. Man Jenny Feldy believes it's going to be in single digits. Do you still have that belief?
I said this about 4 weeks ago that I think maybe we'll get to 8, definitely 10. I don't really know, and honestly, I don't really care. But I think it'll go to 10. Sure, sure. The money that other people are making is very important. So let me weigh in.
What about you, Naudy? Did you see Barbie?
I saw Barbie, I loved it.
Me too.
Did you think
I saw Paw Patrol also.
You saw
You
Paw
like it?
Patrol?
I liked it.
Comparing the two, which was better?
A Barbie.
Barbie was better. What made Barbie better?
Well, all the social commentary in Barbie. was intense. Paw Patrol was a film for children,
Yeah.
so it wasn't as heavy. The topics being discussed weren't, as controversial. It wasn't, clips from Paw Patrol aren't all over social media, causing like conflicts and Instagram comment arguments.
Yeah.
Did you see it by yourself, Paw Patrol?
No, I have 2 nephews.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 10 and 3.
Okay, alright.
Yeah,
All right.
they dragged me along. It wasn't my idea, I promise.
Okay,
But I
fair
think
enough.
adults would like it, right?
Yes, I remember. It does touch upon a topic that's interesting. There was a character who felt like everyone around her was doubting her abilities because of her size and what she looked like,
Okay.
which is also very important social commentary, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes who we are on the outside,
Sure.
can really lead your life in whatever direction,
Yeah.
depending on who's around you. All that stuff matters. But
Yeah.
Barbie definitely got more
Okay.
attention.
Did you cry?
In Barbie?
Yeah.
A little.
I actually cried!
A little, and that's rare for me. I think it was like a one tear, but I definitely
Yeah.
got teary-eyed. It hits you hard. You're referring to
At the end.
the monologue.
It was sometime towards the end, and I took a Kevin Smith selfie of the crying because I know he does that.
Mm.
So I wanted to see what it felt like. It was weird.
It was an important message for women to hear and for men to hear. All the men have to go out and see Barbie. So
What was the message to you?
just how society portrays women and all the different challenges and pressures we have
Mm-hmm.
to navigate through. The America Ferreira's monologue was most impactful for me. And she talks about how nothing you do, like you can't win, no matter how good you are at something, someone's always going to find fault. And how, women always feel like we have our backs against the wall, we have to be perfect. And there's no way to do life perfectly.
Mm.
So that's, and that's true for men too.
Hmm.
I like, there was also a very important message to men about, doing work on themselves,
Mhm.
understanding their identity outside of the context of how they relate to women
Or anyone.
or anyone.
Yeah.
It's about going on that individual journey.
Mhm.
And I'm like, heck yeah, say it louder.
Yeah.
I care
Yeah,
about
I
men
like that.
too, and they talk about men's mental health, which is also a
Mhm.
big deal. Thank God we're talking about that finally. So yes, Barbie for the win. That's my pick.
Charlie, did you see
And
Barbie?
then you have all those Jersey Shore idiots who completely knock this all down.
What?
They knock the positive down
What do you mean?
with their idiocy.
What happened? Can you quickly?
She wants you
Yeah.
to elaborate on that.
What happened?
Oh, the Jersey Shore, they're idiots. I've never watched it, but there were a whole, do you remember the Jersey Shore,
But
right?
how does that relate to Barbie? Is this
No,
related to
she's
Barbie?
saying how positive the message is, and I'm saying,
Oh.
that's right, I'm agreeing.
Oh.
And I says, and this would be great for our young people to hear. And then
Oh.
they turn on MTV.
I see.
And they see all that idiocy.
Gotcha. It went over
With,
my head.
no,
Sorry.
that's all right. It's, I mean,
I was
they're
like,
all,
wait,
and I
Jersey
said this
Shore.
I said this on the show before, they're all on those Jersey, they're dumber than sewer caps.
Yeah. And the
So-
Floribama shore too.
Yeah, so anyway.
So moving on, from the gotta catch them all department, none other than Pokemon teamed up with the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. The exhibition was intended to encourage children and young people to explore the artistry of Van Gogh and the stories behind them, collecting clues and filling in a quiz as they go upon. Upon completion, you will be awarded a free Van Gogh Pikachu card while supplies last. Apparently, this was meant for everyone and their mom flew down to the museum and overwhelmed the staff for the free cards, only to in turn put them up for sale at exorbitant amounts. At not more than a day later, the cards have shown up on eBay for as high as $1,500. On top of that, there is video footage of a fight breaking out at the museum gift shop with people literally
Oh my God.
fighting over Pokemon merchandise, as well as people standing outside the museum offering to buy cards off existing patrons as soon as they step foot outside the building. How insane is that? So you have people coming in to try to have a family learning experience for Van Gogh.
Right.
They get a special card, and as they're leaving, people are literally standing outside. Hey, can I buy that off you? Can I buy that off you? How ridiculous is that?
And there's
Yeah.
fights.
There was fights. People wanted to grab all the free stuff just to sell it on eBay. Yes, ma'am. There you go. What are your thoughts?
Well, you give people free stuff. A lot of times I get free stuff. I try to monetize it. I mean, I first look usually
This is
look to see if I
America,
can
right?
give it to
This is
someone,
it.
and then I say no,
You
sell it.
monetize it.
So, of course, it's gonna happen.
What do you think, Naudy? You're a Pokemon fan?
I'm a huge Pokemon fan.
Would you go to Amsterdam to get?
I would, but then I would
What?
keep it. I wouldn't sell it, and I wouldn't fight anyone for it. It's like Jen said, whenever you give someone free stuff, these days you have to expect them to do something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw all over the news I think it was like 2 months ago, Union Square, the social media guy.
Oh, with the
who was giving-
PlayStation, right?
Yeah, who wanted to give
Oh,
away
yeah.
like a PS5, and he started a riot
Right.
in Union Square. I think a cop died.
What?
Like, yeah, like people went crazy. They started throwing chairs and assaulting each other,
Someone died?
vandalizing businesses. It almost feels like you can't even give something away these days.
What do you think, Charlie?
Wow.
Are you a Pokemon fan?
My grandson is.
Okay,
Big
so would
time.
you go to the Netherlands to
Only if
get that?
Pikachu cuts his ear off.
I used to be a flea market at the Roosevelt Field, but I used to sell, my neighbor used to sell, sold Pokemans, and I used to sell on my, front of my house, cause I live on Dunmore Road, Pokemans on Saturday and Sunday, and people would, these things that would, you know, shoot me handmade or whatever, and we'd pay, what did we get, 40 to 60 bucks a thing? And
So-
that was, and then, people would stop all day long buying those things.
So moving on, from the numbers are in, and according to the Nielsen's rating, broadcast and cable TV dropped to a new low in July of this year, 2023, in terms of total share among American viewers, dropping below 50% of total TV usage in the United States for the first time ever, with cable specifically falling below 30% for the first time. Meanwhile, streaming services like YouTube and Netflix accounted for a record 38.7% of total US overall TV usage, increasing by 0.02% of the month, and usage among audience under 18 was up by 4%. So make of that what you will. More people are watching streaming services, more people are turning off for TV, and I remember when cable was the enemy. Cable was the enemy because, well, actually, cable started off as the friend because you had the commercials, people didn't want to pay for commercials,
Oh, yeah.
everybody went to cable. Then everybody was like, cable is too expensive, so let's go to streaming services. And now streaming services are becoming cable. So now cable, nobody wants cable anymore, they want the streaming services, it was all the same thing. And now the youth is watching more short-term stuff, more streaming services, and they're turning away from the TV. Now, senior correspondent Charlie Saladino, you remember when they had the radio shows, and then it kind of just moves over to TV.
Yeah, sure.
Do you believe that we're now on the trend that eventually TV will be like radio and just like a novelty, where streaming services
Yeah.
will be the new thing?
Well, if they keep the programming up they're feeding to the public, if they keep that up, yeah, because they have idiocy on TV. There's very few programs that are worthwhile watching. Now you got these reality BS shows. Everything's a reality show, which is all scripted, and it's just pure garbage. There's not enough, they're just filling that up and leaving out good programming. And that's what's gonna happen. TV is gonna go bye-bye, and then it will come back again in another form.
What do you think, Jen?
I think Jersey Shore stole one of Charlie's time slots. I think he sold them for
I'm
reality
not,
TV.
I'm not only talking about the dumb sewer caps, I'm talking about the survival shows, the
Yeah.
Naked and Afraid, you
Yeah.
know, all that idiocy.
They're great for
I'm
parody.
gonna give the devil, yeah,
I
right,
grew up in
all
So
that.
Charlie did mention that the reality shows are scripted. they sort of are, but not really. But they're not real in any way, shape, or form. I think I mentioned this before. My niece was approached. She's a professional dancer. She was a cheerleader for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and she had a dance group. And she was approached by some producers to make a reality series about her dance group. And they filmed, the test pilot. And she said that the producers came up to her and said, "We need you to have more drama. So can you have fights with your friends for the show?"
Yeah.
So obviously it was never picked up, and obviously, but
Right.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it before that I was on a court show, and they tell you what to say
Really?
for the court show. So it's all fake, it's
Wow.
all unscripted. But if you think about it, because of the strike, that's what's being made. That's how things are becoming.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more of that.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
Naudy, do you also think that TV is on the way out? Do you think that the reality shows? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, if you
Where's the
can
word
put-
going, Naudy? Tell us. It
Yeah.
relies on you.
I do think cable TV is on the way out, and it's their own doing. It was because a lot of it was because of the reality TV. You know, it's cheaper to make. People want to be on these shows for publicity to get their name out there, so they're not asking you for any money.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't heavily scripted, so you don't have a huge writers team that's like working extremely hard to be creative. You're just watching people make mistakes and do stupid stuff. So it is cheaper, but now they're paying for it because you go to Netflix and there's all this intelligent, creative content that's mind blowing and amazing. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Netflix. And you next episode, you can watch like as much of it as you want, whenever you want. Why would you go back to TV where your options are limited in so many ways?
Yeah.
And this episode has been brought to you by Netflix.
And back in the day, in my day, we enjoyed TV. We stood there. There were things called variety shows where you had entertainment. The Ed Sullivan Show, the first reality show in the world, Candid Camera, which was cerebral. And then you had shows like Lassie. You had it was incredible what TV was putting out when it was young, and then it just went to all hell in a handbag.
But in,
So
I believe
I've
in the,
mentioned
can I
this
say
for-
something? In the
Hold
60s,
on. I've mentioned this before. I went to the National Association of Theater Organizers when I was working for the movie theater for 10 years. And at that point, this is about, let's say about 8-9 years ago, the studios were trying to figure out how to circumnavigate the movie theaters because they want to get the product directly to the consumer. Now, as you know, back in the day, it was you had to watch must-see TV. You had to be there to watch it at this time. But they felt that's not the best way to get eyes on the product. They want to get them to see it when they want it, how they want it, as they want it. So the fact that they kind of shot themselves in the foot because now they created a situation where people want stuff on demand and therefore will not want to go see stuff on TV because they don't want to wait for it. They want to see it all right now. And that's why certain streaming services are only releasing shows a little at a time because they realize that they can't keep up with the demand that they created.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how that all comes together. So we have one last bit of news before we take a commercial break. I think they should have added more water departments. None other than Disney Parks and Resorts is being sued by Emma and Edward McGinnis for giving, quote, injurious wedgie, unquote, that resulted from riding a 214-foot water slide in Resort's Typhoon Lagoon at Water Park in Florida. According to court documents, the incident took place on October 14th, 2019, and alleges that Disney should have known the risks. Lawyer says, when a rider of the slide reached the bottom of the ride and traveled into a pool of water designed to stop further travel, the force of the water can push loose garments into a person's anatomy in an event known as a wedgie. Because of a woman's anatomy, the risk of a painful wedgie is more common and more serious than it is for a man. Disney was negligent and breached its duties of reasonable care in failing to provide protective clothing, such as shorts for the slide, failing to warn Emma and other women of the risks, and other design and safety failures. When Emma impacted the slide and the water at the bottom of her swimsuit was forced between her legs and was, quote, violently forced inside of her, unquote, she experienced severe internal pain and blood rushed from between her legs. She was taken to an ambulance at a local hospital and was later transported to another hospital to see a specialist for repair of gynecological injuries and, quote, severe and permanent body injury, unquote, as well as impacts including mental anguish and lost earnings. So, where does the husband fit in all this? Well, once again, according to her documents, a second count of, quote, loss of consortium, quote, unquote, has been also filed. Lawyer says, quote, as a direct and proximate result of Disney's negligence as is described above, Edward McGinnis has suffered a loss of his wife's care, comfort, consortium, support, and services. The plaintiffs are seeking damages exceeding $50,000, exclusive of interest and costs for the court negligence.
Yikes.
Now, as women on the panel, we have two women here. Have you ever been
Okay.
on a water slide? And have you ever been in any type, way, shape, or form, felt what they're saying happened to this poor woman?
I have never experienced something so painful on a water slide, no.
Okay.
Have you?
Jen?
I've never experienced, but I don't trust rides. Last time I went to Six Flags, actually it was today, last year, I want to say. I was walking around, and I walked around for 3 or 4 hours by myself, editing videos and doing business on my phone while two guys did the rides. Because
Alright.
I do not trust the rides. And his iPhone on autocorrect would say, I do not duck with that. I do
Okay.
not duck with any rides. I don't trust it.
Charlie, what do you got, Charlie, as a man?
No, I've
Have-
been a splish splash.
You've
I've
done
been-
Split Splash, have you
Splish
done?
with the-
Okay.
The big one,
That's
Okay.
it.
where you're almost off the slide going
Yeah.
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you hit, yeah, it's an experience, but nothing devastating.
Well,
Nothing that they had to put warnings like on,
so
which
this,
would have been hysterical. The way they had it worded that.
right, with the picture and, yeah.
They gotta be real
So,
careful with
I
that
wear a
stuff.
chastity belt.
I've mentioned I've worked at a movie theater for 10 years, and we had a situation where we got a lawsuit.
Okay.
I was working one day, and we had somebody come up to me and said that his friend had dislocated his knee. And I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. And I thought he was kidding, because how do you dislocate your knee? And so I go into the theater, and it was playing a horror movie. I forget the name of the horror movie. And I walk down the aisle, and this kid is visibly in pain. And you can see his knee is really swollen. I've never forget that image of seeing his knee, how bad it was. So obviously he hurt himself. And I said, what happened? And he goes, well, I was watching this movie. I had my feet up on the seat in front of me. I jumped and I dislocated my knee. And I'm like, oh my God. So we called the cops and the ambulance and whatever. And the ambulance came and I talked to the cops and I said, well, what happened? And they thought it was funny because who would do that, right? So they take him away and whatever. About a couple of years later, we got notified that we're being sued by this person. Since I was there, I had to go to the court deposition. I had to actually go to trial. So I went to the court deposition, and we were in the deposition, and the kid comes in, and this is years, so I'm like, he doesn't even look like who I remember. But he sits down and he tells his story about what happened, and he said at the deposition that there was soda and ice that he slipped on, which dislocated his knee. And his story was, and I'm getting up for our live studio audience, that he got up and he turned around to walk out the aisle, and as he turned around and was walking out, he slipped on the ice and hit his knee on the armrest, which dislocated his knee. Now, based on the story that he gave, he hit and dislocated the opposite knee than I remember him
Oh my God.
hurting. So I'm sitting there thinking, wasn't it the other knee? I remember seeing him, facing in this direction, so therefore it would be this knee, but he's saying he hurt the left knee.
Holy.
And I'm like, is that right? Maybe I don't remember. Obviously, he would remember more than I would. And so he gets his deposition, and our lawyer looks at the paper and he goes, didn't he dislocate his other knee?
Wow.
And then their lawyer goes,
Uh-oh.
and he goes, yes, he dislocated his other knee. And we're like, how could he not even realize that? So obviously he was him trying to get some money.
Yeah.
And so we went to court,
Failed.
and it was a situation where they're trying to make the big evil corporation look like they were doing wrong, where he was clearly lying,
Wow.
but he did hurt himself. There was the damage on his leg. Like, that part was true. So in this situation, while mind-blowing that he went down, that this happened, she did go to the hospital. She was hospitalized. She has all these injuries. So on one hand, I'm thinking, how crazy is this for this one time to happen, like, of all the times? But on the other hand, she did hurt herself. She did get injured on their ride. So are they liable? Should they be liable? Or is this a situation where they're trying to get more money out for not?
Yeah.
What do you think, Jen?
Or maybe she had the injury beforehand, and then maybe like she felt a little
So you think
something
it
or something. She's like, you know
re-aggravated?
what? Let's just blame it all on them.
So you think it got like an injury and it got re-aggravated,
Yeah.
which is also possible.
And then it maybe worsened it.
That's possible
Sure.
too. Naudy, what do you think?
Well, the doctors can prove that, right? The medical records can prove how long she had the injury.
Right. That's what I was saying with the guy who dislocated his knee. Obviously, it wasn't his first time he dislocated
Yeah,
his knee.
I'm not saying throw the money at her. Definitely investigate the situation. It's a court case, so you have to provide evidence. But I want Disney to give her the money.
Charlie, what do
Disney,
you
they have so
I
much
think
money. Just
they,
give her the money.
Charlie?
Yeah, what are they just going for, $50,000?
Just
Just
$50,000, yes.
$50,000 for Disney?
That's
Are
what I'm
you
thinking.
okay? Go for the stars.
So-
Wish upon a
So
star.
basically,
Go.
you want one of their nicest employee with a family to get fired, lose their $50,000 that they're probably making, and then they can give it to this woman with the broken,
Yeah, no.
you know, who
No, I'm saying if it's Disney, get them, go for all you can.
Alright.
$50,000
Not a big Disney fan.
isn't gonna put a dent in Disney.
Yeah.
Okay,
Give
fair
her
I
enough.
mean, it's ridiculous, it's like the hot water.
Yeah, with the McDonald's, yes,
It's
I remember that.
ridiculous, but if they're gonna do something,
Right.
Fair enough.
you know,
So,
if it wasn't Disney, I'd say, oh, yeah.
Same.
But, yeah, just go
Well,
for
my
it.
husband probably wouldn't want to sleep with her anyway. So.
That's
She
terrible.
just blame it on Disney.
so we're at our halfway point. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right
Are
back
we?
with It Came From the Radio in front of our live studio audience.
Yeah! Woo! Alright.
Sounds like an
Hey
angry
everybody,
mob.
it's Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go